Hi everybody, I'm Spike Brave, and today I'd like to give you a look at the Caustic Valley map in Mechwarrior Online. I've been looking at the maps a little bit recently to tell new players about how these maps are usually played during pug play, and Caustic Valley is actually one of the simpler maps. A lot of new players are a little bit confused about the place names that are used to describe certain areas on the map. So first of all, I'd like to start out by looking at the mini map in the center of my screen on the bottom there. As you can see, it's broken up into grids. I'm currently in B3. If I had a mech in front of me, he'd probably be in C3, and that's a great way to communicate with your team. And if you'd like a overall view of the map, just hit your B key, and that'll bring up the battle grid, and you can see the whole of the map there, and any mechs that are detected by friendly units will show up on here too. So this is a great way to get some information and to use the grid to communicate with your teammates. I'm going to drive around Caustic Valley just a little bit for you here and show you some of the places that players call by name and where some of the places of interest are. So when you start out, if you are playing either a conquest or assault mode, this will be a base right around in here. It should be right here. So there'd be a capture point here or a base to defend or attack here. And then let's go run over to the first point of interest on this map, and pretty much the only place that's actually called by a name in this map. You see right in front of me, this is the caldera, and it's right pretty much in the center of the map, and a lot of the action takes place over control of this area. This is a place that a lot of players like to form a defensive position at and try to defend the base that's right here. And you'll see a lot of action in here, and then if we come up, we'll actually go into the caldera. And something that's really important to keep in mind here is that the heat here is a little bit higher than the rest of the map. So the air temperature here will raise the heat of your mech just a little bit. You can see I'm going up to 17%. And if I leave this area of the map, and we'll run down back to where it was, you'll see my heat goes down again. So keep that in mind when you're fighting over this area of the map, this caldera here as they call it. See, there goes my heat spike. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit hot to fight in here. So try to stay out of this area. What you'll see is a lot of ring around the rosy around this caldera. So a lot of action will take place here. And then as people start jockeying for position, they'll actually run around the caldera here, and usually in this direction, but sometimes you'll get it going the other way. So I'll go around here real quick so you can see the whole caldera area, and this does give you a good view of the entire map. It's a small map, so we'll keep running around the caldera here so you can see that. And we're getting close to where I came up. Well, it's over here technically, but this is close. So this is where you'll see most of your action is in this area here. And if we come in here, on the other side of this mound in the center here, right here is where the theta capture point is, usually right here. So this will be an area that you want to fight over if there's a capture point and try to take this point. And then we'll come down over here in the C5 area, and there'll be another capture point over here. Now this is an area you'll see some fighting over when I get all the way over there. So right about here is where the capture point is. He's right here, I believe. And there's this ridge right here for some good cover. Sometimes you'll see this called the ridge or the hill. And sometimes fighting occurs in this area down and through here. So if we look around here, because of the heat of the caldera, some teams opt to line up here to get some cover on this ridge and fire at the other team. So you'll see some action here. Like I said, usually not called by name, just referred to as the ridge or D5, the grid coordinate. So that's going to look at that spot and the gamma capture point. I believe it's gamma. I might be mistaken on that one. And then we'll come down here, and there's this big hill. Sometimes people try to use this guy for cover too. So occasionally you see a little bit of fighting in this lake here because of the cover provided by this hill, but that's not horribly common. And then if we come up here behind this rock will be the other base and assault and a capture point if it were a conquest map. So that point will be right here. Occasionally when it's a gone badly for one team, they'll fall back to this area to defend their base and get some extra firepower from the base turrets. So there's that capture point and base. And then occasionally I'm running up here to show you that sometimes the lights like to hide up here during a conquest map. It's a nice little open area, but you do got some good cover down here. So this is a good place to come hang out if you're winning on points. It's a good spot to hide from the other team. And if we come down right in here, there will be another capture point. And let's see if I can locate it without it actually being here. Oh, this is a good spot. This is a lot of times if you hear their snipers in E3, they're right here and they're using this as a vantage point to look into the caldera and snipe a little bit. It's not the best spot. There's a lot of cover still in the caldera, and you're kind of exposed here. But you will see some fighting in here occasionally because there's lots of cover if you're taking fire. So occasionally you see some fighting in here, but again, not really a place name. And then that other capture point, if you're playing Conquest, is right in here. So that's that point of interest. And then what you'll see is some people like to run along the backside of this, away from the caldera. So the caldera is right up in here. And some people like to use this ridge line to come down in here to flank or get better position or run up to that capture point there and not take a lot of fire, because you do get some real good cover from this ridge line. Sometimes you'll see fighting in here if you're a light mech because you've run through here to capture or evade or a spot. I like to come down here and poke over the ridge and spot for LRMs. So occasionally light mechs will fight around in here to get better positioning for their team or spotting advantage. And occasionally a team will push right through here to come up on the, if they start at this base, to come up on the other base if they're doing a base rush. And occasionally if there's a starting point right around here for one of the teams, so sometimes the team that starts here will push up here real quick in hopes of catching a slow assault by itself. So occasionally you'll see some fighting in here, but it's not horribly common. Most people are fighting over the caldera. So that's been kind of a look at this map. It's smaller, there's not a lot of named places, but I do want to show you a spot that you can hide pretty well that a lot of people aren't aware of. I like to come hang out underneath the dock by this base here if I'm winning on Conquest and I've got just a few points left. I'll run down here to that initial starting point we were at where that capture point is. And some decent cover for light mechs inside these buildings here. So occasionally you see a light mech hiding in here trying to get some cover. But if we come all the way around the side here, there's this little lake. And it's a pretty flat open area, so not a lot of players come down in here. Very, very occasionally you'll see a player where that Jenner is using this ridge to cover and kind of peek up at the caldera. It's not a great spot and it's pretty wide open. One of the starting points is in this area, so you will see it on a map, but most people try to get out of this area. It is quite wide open and pretty much no man's land, so it's a bad spot to get caught in the open. But occasionally you'll see a mech with ECM hanging around in that area where that Jenner is, trying to take pot shots at an enemy. So keep that spot in mind. But this is where I like to go hang out. If I'm winning on caps, I'll run down in here, in this corner here, and kind of back up against the wall so I can see if they're coming. So we'll stop my mech. And this is a good spot where you can look. So if I power down, I still got some pretty good view out to where I can see if someone were coming, and keep in mind that you could still hear their footsteps. So I like to hang out in this spot if I'm up on points. And another good spot to hide is where I showed you on that other side up on that ridge. So this has been a look at the Caustic Valley map. As I said, pretty small, not a lot to learn about this map, and the only real named place here is the caldera, and I'll run back up there so I can show you that. But again, not a horribly complicated map and very small, so just wanted to let everybody know what the names and places that are common to see in Pug Play are. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you on the battlefield, and have great luck when you're out there.